Welcome to another episode of Fan-Made Games, and today I'm going to be talking about a topic that you guys have been asking about for a long time. Basically, anytime I make a Fan-Made Games video, you ask about this specific one. Or whenever I make any video, you ask about this one. Even posting comments on videos I made 2 years ago, asking for me to make this video. So today, I bring you fan-made Sonic games. And I've searched through the internet to find 7 Sonic fan games that I believe haven't been talked about too much, except for one that I wanted to talk about. And I wanted to do this just to kind of change it up a little bit, make it interesting, especially since my friend Ant Dude just did a video on Sonic ROM hacks. So I wanted to make mine special and different, so let's get this started. First, let's talk about the only game on this list I wasn't able to play, and that's the Sonic Fan Remix, a beautiful recreation of Sonic the Hedgehog in HD, with a 2.5D style that I think looks gorgeous. I would have loved to play this, but sadly all I could do was take a look at it, but from what we can see, it looks like it plays really well, and it looks beautiful, obviously. And the music and sound effects are spot on, so I personally can't wait to actually get my hands on this one. Moving forward though, let's talk about the games I was actually able to get my hands on, starting with a fan remake of the deleted level Dust Hill Zone. And it's horrible. Yeah, it looks pretty, kind of, but the gameplay is atrocious since you get stuck on every little thing, causing you to slow down all the time, which is never a good thing in a Sonic game. Plus, there are a few holes that you can get stuck in and just can't get out of. Overall, it was a cool idea, but it just wasn't fun to play. This next game was one I was going to talk about and say how horrible it was and how much I hated it. And, well, then I realized that my footage got corrupted and I had to play the game again. And my second time playing through it, I actually liked it a bit more. Sonic Time Twisted is the game I'm talking about, and when I first played it, I hated it. The first level is way too difficult, and the main path the game kind of brings you on is extremely unforgiving compared to the secret path I found later on. It shoves you right into a pool of water and a ton of enemies, causing instant death and drowning. But after I found my way past this and started beating a few levels, I actually became a bit more interested in the game, but trust me, I still ain't praising it. After the first level, we get a bit of a cutscene, seeing Sonic face off with Metal Sonic and are thrown back into the game. The design of the levels are kind of all over the place, which caused me to get lost a lot or just thrown into death traps without seeing it coming. It does control well though, with the ability to charge your dash and stop on a dime. There wasn't much issues there. Plus, the game heavily takes from Sonic's CD, allowing you to switch from past to present by running fast enough through these signs, which I really liked and was my favorite part of the game. Time Twisted was an interesting experience, but something I would never go back to, especially if I had to play the first carnival level again. Too many weird bouncing areas and random pinball machines scattered around to make an enjoyable level. Just remember, if you play this one, it's no walk in the park. Next up is Sonic the Faded Hour, a game I'm a bit confused about, but nonetheless was a fun time. The game is stated in the intro that you can unlock abilities that you can equip onto Sonic and use, but since the feature wasn't in the demo I tried, it gave you loadouts with equipment already chosen for you. And overall, it did change up the gameplay a bit, allowing me to wall jump or get to different areas that I couldn't with other mechanics. Plus, there was also random side quests that you can do in levels that added a bit more to the standard Sonic gameplay. But this is where I started to get confused. When looking up the game, its description calls it a pseudo free-roaming game broken from the Metroid Castlevania mold. But overall, really just felt like a regular platforming Sonic game, so I'm not sure what to think. Plus, it boasted its storytelling ability over gameplay, with Sonic spending most of his time uncovering the mystery as to who murdered Tails. But I didn't see any of this stuff in the demo, or any storytelling of any kind actually. And if that's what you're boasting your game about, you'd think there would be a bit more of that in the demo. In the end though, it's kind of a basic Sonic fan game, blocky levels with loops and springs and a pretty cool inclusion of grinding and wall jumping, making it a bit different than the rest. Not bad, but nothing to blow your mind over. This next game is the last 2D game on the list, and probably my favorite game out of all of them. Like, I have over an hour's worth of gameplay footage because I didn't want to stop playing the game. The game I'm talking about is Sonic Chrono Adventure. Sonic Chrono Adventure is basically an open-world Sonic game allowing you to run around an open world and explore different areas and cities. The plot has you traveling between past and present to figure out what exactly happened in the past to cause a huge catastrophe, though you aren't getting to go to the past on your own free will, at least at the start. Dr. Eggman has created a robot called the Dark Egg Owl to track you down and keep you busy until Eggman can hatch his plan to rule the world. Problem is, the Egg Owl goes out of control and gains the ability to teleport you through time. Shortly into the game, you're able to get one of the owl's feathers that makes it so you can travel through the rifts in time whenever you please, allowing you to explore the large hub world in both the past and the present. On top of all of this, there are also multiple items you can get throughout the game, and the only two I found while playing were the sword, which allowed you to cut down barriers and enemies if you want, and speed boots that allowed you to dash forward really fast, or more importantly, dash really high into the air to reach higher areas. This game really had an open-world Metroidvania feel to it, unlike Time Twisted, and actually had a really good story that made me want to keep going on. I didn't beat the game obviously due to the fact I had plenty of other Sonic games to play, but this one I will be going back to for sure to continue to the end. Plus, for anyone interested, the creator of this game is actually working on another game that was just kickstarted called Spark the Electric Jester. If you want to take a look into it, that game also looks really fun, so I would recommend going and checking it out. Now let's talk about something in a completely different ballpark. I'm talking about 3D Sonic games, and for the most part, 3D Sonic games usually don't turn out that well. Sometimes you get a good one, but usually they're not that great. So fan-made versions should be fairly interesting. So, to start off this crazy mess, we're going to be talking about Sonic World. Sonic World is, well, I don't know the best way to describe it. It's really just Sonic the Hedgehog recreated for PC, but with one major difference. It allows for fan-created stages. The game comes with a few levels that are recreations of actual Sonic levels, but if you want, you can download levels other people have made and put them into the game to play yourself. But since they are fan-created, would you really want to do that? Truthfully though, some of them are actually pretty good, and some of them are just, well, geez. Overall, it's really nothing too exciting or mind-blowing, and it kinda controls like crap, but it's a cool idea, and I always like something that allows people to create their own content, so good on ya. The next game is Sonic 3D, and to be truthful, I thought this game was going to be garbage. Like, super duper garbage I can make fun of and rag about for a bit. And if I'd started the game playing as Sonic, I probably would've, but I actually started up the game as Mighty the Armadillo, and did pretty well. The game controls decently and has plenty of secrets to find, including Chaos Emeralds, though I didn't take the time to find all of them to see what would happen. It includes a good amount of levels and bosses to play through and really keeps the fast-paced vibe while still allowing some good platforming and fighting, unless you play as Sonic, who sadly has no lock-on for his attacks, making it impossible for him to hit anyone. While on the other side of the table, Mighty can smash the ground, sending out a shockwave causing everything around him to die. You could also play as Tails or Knuckles, but I really didn't take the time to play as them or test out how they are. The plot isn't anything too crazy, especially since it's kind of like the Sonic 3 and Knuckles story. Metal Sonic steals Master Emerald, Knuckles thinks Sonic took it, Sonic and Knuckles fight, Sonic convinces Knuckles it was Metal Sonic and Eggman who took the Emerald, and then we beat up Eggman. It was a fun experience, and I would definitely say try it out. Also, on a side note, it seems like there was going to be a mod for this game that recreated Sonic 06, but it was never released. Probably because they realized Sonic 06 was a horrible game and no one would play a fan-made version of it. And to finish off this fan-made games video with a bang, let's talk about a recently brought to light and well-known Sonic fan game, Sonic Dreams Collection. This game was released randomly, declaring it was filled with unreleased Sonic games that never came to light for one reason or another. So let's take a look at some of the beautiful magic we have in store for us. First off, we have Make My Sonic, which was exactly what it sounds like. Create your own Sonic character. So let's get at it, boys. First off, we gotta choose his leg size. So let's go for the super small and creepy style. And we'll match his arms and head to make them super small and creepy as well. There we go, super pretty. Now let's just make him original and orange and give him a sexy name like, Sol Rogi Edge Kaiser the Supreme Cyborg Hedgehog. Best character ever. Copyrighted 2014, 15, 2009. Don't steal. And my fan-made Sonic is complete. Just throw in some Sonic rings, put in some Sonic sexy pose, and take a Sonic picture for all my friends to see and laugh at. So after that, we can actually head into the next game called Eggman Origin, an MMORPG, and import our Sonic fan character into it, and find out where Eggman came from and why our legs are so damn small. Sadly though, I didn't want to pay the $100 for the Dreamcast adapter, so we can't actually play this game. Now that all of that's out of the way, let's get into Sonic Movie Maker, where we can create our own homemade Sonic videos. Gotta start off simple though on your movie career. Let's start by throwing a hedgehog under a car a bit, and then having him make love with a chow. Perfect masterpiece. Now let's offer the prom guests some ice cream and follow them back to their motel, because that's not creepy at all. Let's see what they're up to in their motel. Whoa, geez, better censor that for the little kiddies. But you know, Tails isn't having much fun, so let's give him a friend too. There we go, Tails and the creepy egg thing. You have made yourself one beautiful romantic comedy. P.S. Don't forget to burn down the motel before you enter your torture lab to feed Sonic until he Tails on cheats and on Mr. Egg with the Sonic, and then is birthed out of Sonic to be birthed again out of Rouge the Bat. Congrats! You just created your own Sonic movie to revile all the Sonic movies. Next is the Oculus Rift Sonic game, where you get to go on a date with Sonic. Are you ready for your very first kiss? No? Well, that's too bad. Stare into his soul and be one with Sonic. Be one with Sonic. Good, now let's just shut off the Dreamcast and never talk about this again. Yeah, don't ask me what Sonic Dreams Collection is, because, well, I don't want to answer that question. It's a weird game specifically made to feed off the idea that Sonic fans are weird creeps and to boost itself into popularity. Don't play Sonic Dreams Collection. Do yourself a favor and play Sonic Chrono Adventure or Sonic 3D, or just anything else. It's not worth your time and just weird, to be truthful. But that's not all. I've brought a good friend of mine along who knows a lot about Sonic to talk about his favorite Sonic fan game. Everyone, give a warm welcome to my good friend, Blade Blur.
Thanks for having me, Badman. Hello everyone, I am Blade Blur and I am a Sonic fan. Which doesn't mean much nowadays because of the drop of quality in the games themselves. But nevertheless, I still love Genesis games. What I even like more are those Genesis ROM hacks of all the Sonic games that are out there. Essentially, it's Mario Maker before Mario Maker was even a thing. Some of them are very simple, where they just change a character in a pre-existing game, but others change the whole concept of the game completely to make new experiences. But when it comes to the quintessential Sonic ROM hack for the Genesis, you cannot go wrong with Sonic Megamix. And yes, I actually own a physical copy of that. So, what makes it so good? Let's find out.
Sonic Megamix is a hack of the original game, but besides a fancy coat of paint and revised level design, there is much more to see here. Sonic's moveset has expanded to feature his now infamous homing attack, as well as the modern classic Lightspeed Dash, and makes our spiny hero zoom through rings and blast Banix in his way, making for a very cool mechanic, especially in a 2D game, since it has never been done before, and quite frankly, I always look forward to see those stream of rings just so I can perform it. But even if that's not enough to entice you, there are also two additional characters to play as. Shadow the Hedgehog, and Mighty the Armadillo. No character before had such an unfitting name. Shadow also has Sonic's homing attack, but whenever enemies aren't around, he can also double jump. Mighty is more interesting since he can use the shield abilities from Sonic 3 and even store multiple ones in case he loses one with the nominal cost of a few rings. Each of the three characters play differently from each other, which makes going through the many revised levels quite the adventure. And those levels are long. Some can last upwards to 7 minutes. This is a marathon, not a sprint. But despite the length increase as well as the difficulty being jacked up, this is a really fun game. I wish there were less bugs, but at least it's a more stable game than the Sega CD version. I know that in that version Tails and Knuckles are playable, but I'd rather choose the stable Genesis version over it any day of the week.
With fresh level design, new characters to play as, and great music, there is no denying that Sonic Megamix is a great hack. In fact, if you're tired of Sonic 1 and finished it over and over, this will definitely give you a lot of challenge because it's essentially the hard mode of the same game. So I highly recommend it. If you want to play it, just Google it, you'll find it. And thanks for having me, Badman. Back to you.
And that's it for today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this fan-made games video. It's been in the works for a long time. There's just a lot of Sonic fan games to go through for me to find some that I really wanted to talk about. I'll probably make another one of these in the future, like a Sonic Fan Games Part 2, but until then, I'll have to think of something else. So if you want to help me, post in the comments below what fan game videos you would love to see, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It helps me out a lot. Until then, I'll see you guys in the next video. I just have to give a huge shout out to my Patreon supporters, because without them, I still wouldn't be making videos. So, a huge thank you to Rob LaLiberty, Brad Moore, Andre Drulard, Thomas Bethel, Ian Selch, Jeremy Olivo, and the YouTubers Possum Gamer, Cray Trey, Legend Gary, and After End Media.